Hello, how do you like my itty bitty iron? Welcome, whoever, wherever, whenever you are. Denise Matto here, and this is part 2, second try on part 2, of my Cathedral window sew-along tutorial. Now, I did have it done, and I just got all screwed up, so I'm starting over. Part 1, I brought you through the process of getting a 10-inch square, putting a little 1/4-inch hem, folding it like so, and then like so, ironing it like so, till you finally end up with your basic cathedral window patch. 4 of these make an approximately 10, probably more like 9-inch block. And the cathedral window goes there. Okay, you know all that because you watched part 1. And so I'm moving through the second half, which is taking these little pieces that I've put together, because the next step is very simple. We make twosies. Twosies, you know what a twosie is. It's 2 pieces sewn together. Here's a bunch of them. I'm sewing them light to dark. This is a scrappy quilt that I'm doing. I'm just, being very random, but basically light to dark. So, let's see. Yeah, this is light, this is dark. Now, when you sew the 2 together, so that you will end up with something that looks like this, and that's where you start your windows, right? The key is you want the back of the quilt to look very, very smooth. You're getting 2 quilts out of this, essentially. I mean, it's 1 quilt, but the front side where all the windows are, the display side, that's the part you're going to see up on the bed most of the time. But the other side is very smooth. If you're using cotton, it's also very comfortable to use as bedding. And if you'll notice, you do not see any stitches. There are no seams showing, and I'm going to show you how to do that. I just finished watching somebody else's cathedral window tutorial, and she's very good, and it's a good idea to watch everybody, because you're going to pick out all the different ways people do it, and you're going to use your own mixture of all these different techniques. Now, she does pretty much the same thing I'm doing, with the exception that she stitches from this side. And, of course, you just simply have to try to make your stitches very neat, because they're going to show. But mine don't show. And I'm doing things exactly the opposite. When she stitches from this side, she is taking the 2 pieces and putting them front sides together and stitching the smooth side. I do not do that. I take the 2 pieces and I put the smooth sides together, line them up carefully, and I do something else that nobody else does. So, if you're watching my tutorial and you want to keep coming back, hit the like, subscribe. I'm going to have chat rooms, by the way. I don't have a full computer, okay? I'm also known not only as Good Stuff Ninja, but also Cheap Phone Ninja, because that's what I use. I use a cheap phone. And the result is I have a hard time doing a tutorial and a live stream together, where you can have the chat room and everything. So what I decided to do is I'm having these tutorials as video uploads because it gives me a little bit more creative control. I can pause it and stuff like that. And then I'm going to also do some live streams that the titles are going to refer back to the tutorials. And I'll schedule those so people can decide if they want to participate. Those are going to be dedicated to the Cathedral windows, and we can all work together and talk. Plus, I have a playlist. If you've just stumbled across this video, look at my playlist and you will see Cathedral windows. I will put those live streams alongside these tutorials. Also, I will start putting other people's Cathedral window videos into that playlist, so that it will be, ultimately it's going to end up being the University of Cathedral Window. Because everybody's going to be able to be in it. And if you have a video where you're showing your efforts, or maybe not efforts, maybe you're very well accomplished, and you want to show me a thing or two, I want to see. And I want to put those videos in the Cathedral Window playlist. Capiche? Okay. So back to this. As I said, when I do this, I put the smooth sides together. I'm holding the folded sides. And I learned something when I was having adventures with English paper piecing hexagon quilts. You might have heard of those. They wrap the cloth around paper and then sew it together. The result is you get these seams that don't show, totally invisible. So since this fold is not sewed down, you never sew this down, it remains three-dimensional open. The result is you can place this little plastic. This is like it's a bus ticket. It's like a credit card thing, but except it's a lot more lightweight little plastic card. If you don't have anything like this that you can cut, just any piece of cardstock, or cut a nice square piece out of a plastic container of some kind, you know, if the clear top to a takeout meal or something. Just as long as it has a very smooth, straight edge, you slide it in like so. Wait a minute. Okay. You slide it in, and you do the same in the other one. And what this does, it gives your fingers something to hold without squeezing. Because when you're holding the cloth, you're going to have an unconscious tendency to tighten up, and your hands are going to get very tired very quickly. But when you have that piece of stiff card in there, you can hold it very lightly. And I have arthritis in my hands, so it makes a difference. Also, you'll see how crisp and clean that stays. So that's part of this tutorial. That's how you get started on the sewing. The other way is you get your needle threaded. Here it is, already threaded. Now, a lot of people will use a whip stitch to just kind of go around and around and around and around and going across here. Your stitches will still show. That very little, there'll be only one here and one there showing, but inevitably some of them will show if you use a whip stitch. But I use the ladder stitch. The ladder stitch involves going this way, and then this way, and then this way, and then this way. It looks complicated, but once you get used to it, it actually goes quite quickly. So I'm going to start by just get the thread started here. Come on. There. Here we go. Get the thread started and get this hot iron out of the way. Whoops. Ouch. There. Here we go. So, First, making sure they're lined up straight. The first stitch is always the hardest, especially when you're trying to talk at the same time. I'm usually not trying to talk to people while I sew. One of the problems with arthritis is your fingers don't really feel the sensitivity as much as a younger person's might. So you have to watch what you're doing. There. Now, having gotten it started, I'm a very clumsy sewer, so give me, whoops, I'm sorry, did I have it off camera? Here we go. There we go. Back and forth. Back and forth. So in this way, you go over all your little folded squares and you sew them up into twosies. See? You see how the stitches are right up at the very edge. You pick up about 2 threads per stitch. You can't really see it on the white side, but you can see it on the purple side. See? And that's what you do. That's the ladder stitch. Okay, so having shown you that part, the next step after you do all your twosies is to sew them into foursies. You take your 2 pieces together and simply repeat what you just did. Once you've done that, I'll come back to do part 3. Part 3 is where you insert the window. Yeah, you can use any fabric for the window. Here I've put a piece of white fabric in. I might be alternating. The blocks are going to have essentially the 4 windows, but then these other parts here will form windows with other blocks. So I'm actually going to have groups of 4 in different fabrics to complete the design. You can do anything with the windows. What you put in the window can be high contrast with your framing fabric, or you can leave some of the windows just plain. You can put, like if you get photographs done on, you know how you can get a photograph printed onto fabric. If you do that, you can use the cathedral window to make a lovely wall hanging with photographs from your family. Maybe if you're doing a memory quilt, you can do a fabric copy of a photo and you incorporate the fabrics from the memory quilt, like a lot of people will make quilts out of the clothing of their loved one. And you can do that. You also can do things like get a piece of transparent sheer cloth or even plastic, but I would tend to use something like a sheer translucent or transparent fabric like you might find in a curtain panel. You can then put something behind that into the window on a wall hanging. All kinds of extremely creative things you can do once you get this technique down. It's really very simple. It's like knitting a sweater. You just sit and do it, and before you know it, you've got something beautiful. Now, I am going to do part 3 on the insertion of the window panes, and I do want people to seriously consider developing this Cathedral window playlist into something that can be a real fun community. We can do some serious sew-alongs. I shouldn't be promising too much because I then don't live up to my promises. But I think I might start putting some kits together in a couple of months. By the time I get ahead on this, by the time I get this quilt about ready. Another thing about the Cathedral window quilts. You do not make a sandwich and then take them to a long arm and then bind them. They're quilts as you go. Once you've got the piece done, it's done. Voila! No more work. Because it's self-contained. You don't even have, the outer edging is going to be smooth like that. So you don't even have to do anything once you have finished assembling your Cathedral window quilt. Anyway, I'll leave you with that thought. I hope the long arm quilters are not putting my name on the hit list. God bless y'all. I'll catch you later. Happy stitching, no more bitching. Denise Matteau, over and out.